Hello again, everybody. It's Mental Conditioning Monday. Mental Conditioning Monday once again. And I'm just, as usual, very, very, very excited to be here, to be able to deliver the message. I just want to, before I even start, I just want to take a quick moment to just say thank you, for all you guys who are, watching the messages. I've been getting some pretty good feedback from you guys, just letting me know that you guys are watching it. And I just want to say that I have a great appreciation for that, because that gives me the boost, that gives me the energy, that gives me the motivation to keep going. It's not easy sometimes, doing something new that you've never done before, and that's part of mental conditioning. So each and every time that I do that, this is a part of mental conditioning, and you guys giving me, that extra fuel to keep going. That's a mental conditioning Monday message in itself, just for me to be doing it. So I do appreciate, with everything I have, the feedback that you guys are giving me. So with that, I'm gonna get into my mental conditioning message. Mental conditioning Monday message. Sometimes it's tough because I have these things that come in my head during the course of the week, and I'm really excited to actually get to mental conditioning Monday so I can actually bring it out to you guys. And this is probably one of those weeks where I wanted to really get the message out there. So I wanted to talk today about building that strength in our minds to be able to stay in our own life's lane. Building that mental strength to stay in our own life's lane. What does that mean? There's something that I like to call, our mental diet. And it's not really unlike our physical diet. In our physical diet, it's we try to eat the right foods, we try to ingest the right things into our body to maximize our physical health. And our mental diet is no different. You have to try to inject the right things into our minds that's going to maximize our mental capacity, our mental strength. Sometimes we can't help what goes into our ears, but we can help what goes up here into the actual mind and how we digest that. And staying in life's lane is greatly affected by our mental diet. And we give you an example about what I mean when I talk about that. It's a lot of different ways I can go with that, but I'll go in the direction of your career. A lot of times you may be on a job in which there are opportunities to grow, opportunities to advance on a particular job. And what happens is that you have peers and you have people that you work with, and you have sometimes just the climate of the job, and that that's a direction that many of your peers are saying, you should get this promotion, you should go for this promotion, you should do these things. And in your mind, you may be saying to yourself, that's not really the direction that I want to go in. And the danger with that is two things. Is that, first of all, a lot of times you'll kind of be forced into doing it, forced into going through the motions of actually trying to get that promotion. Or sometimes you won't do it, which is the right thing to do, because it will be staying in your lane, but you have to be very careful with that, because now it starts to sometimes affect your mental strength, because now sometimes you can fall into a sense of like, I didn't really feel like I did the right thing. I didn't feel that, I'm maximizing my potential. And you have to guard against that. And that is really, in essence, a real syndrome of staying in your lane and not looking, to what others are doing. And that's a tremendously difficult thing to do mentally, because it does affect you, because in either one of those two ways, either you're going to go ahead and do it, and you may actually get the promotion, and what will end up happening is that mentally you're going to affect you, because you get that promotion and you won't be happy at all. Or you may, like I said, stick in there and have that mental strength to say, that's not the direction for me. But those opinions don't go away. You're still going to hear, you didn't do it? Wow. And that will affect you. So staying in your, life's lane is a task that you have to train. You really have to train for that. To put it in another context, I always talk about, I like sports. I think that sports is such a metaphor for life, and different sports provide different metaphors for me. In this particular case, when we talk about lane, that's is indicative of the sport of bowling. I like bowling, and the thing about it is that when you compete in the sport of bowling, and when you can compete, especially at the professional level, yes, you are actually competing one-on-one against your opponent. But when you really think about it, really think about the essence of what you're really doing, who are you really competing against, in a sport, in a sport like such as bowling. The truth of the matter, and golf is kind of the same way, but in bowling, you're really competing with that lane that's in front of you. You're competing with that lane in front of you, because each and every time that you go out there and you pick up that bowling ball and you throw it down the lane, if you're focusing on what you're doing in your lane, you're looking straight down your lane. If you throw the perfect shot each time that you're focusing on throwing the perfect shot, and you throw 13 strikes, which is a perfect game, you can't lose. You cannot lose the game, regardless of what the other guy do. The worst thing that can happen is we're going to tie, and most of the time, listen, he's probably not going to throw a perfect game, but you threw a perfect game. So it's really about staying focused on your lane. Listen, I write this stuff. I do workshops, and I try to do my mental conditioning Monday messages. But guess what? I still struggle with the same things that I talk about. I struggle with it just like everybody else. And I'm gonna give you an example. In keeping in the context of bowling, I go to the bowling alley. I'm a fairly decent bowler, nothing special, but I might be on my lane, and I might be having a good day. I go up there, I throw 3 strikes. What happens now when you go bowling? Anybody, I'm sure all of us have gone. You got people to the left, you got people to the right. Your ego, my ego, not you. I'm talking about me. My ego, I threw my 3 strikes, so guess what I started doing now? Start looking over to the right. That guy over there, he ain't got nothing. He got 2 spares. I got 3 strikes. He ain't got nothing. My ego is getting the best of me. I look over now to the left. Oh, man, this guy got 5 strikes. What am I doing? I lost focus in my lane. But it's not over. I still can get him. I mean, I'm just not really in competition with him, but that's the natural reaction sometimes of our mental capacity. That's what's going to happen. Now I go up there, and because I'm not focusing on my lane, I'm going to throw a bad ball. Now I'm not going to strike. I didn't potentially reach the highest possible score that I could have reached, because guess what? I was looking over here at somebody else's lane. So that's just an example. And that happens to me. That has happened to me. So that's just an example of, being able to stay in your own life's lane. I put that in the context of sport, but life is the same way. Always. Last week we talked about, being able to recognize greatness in others. And, it's a fine line, because you have to recognize greatness in somebody else, but at the same time, you have to always remember that you have your own greatness. And when you start looking at other people's greatness and trying to transform that greatness to you, you're not staying in your own life's lane. So you have to stay in your own life's lane to be able to recognize your greatness that's in you. One of the things that I always kind of get disappointed when I hear people say, I want to get my dream job, or, I want to get my dream house, I want to get my dream car. I don't particularly like that term, because to me, it's not a dream. That's your reality. So go out there and get it. That's the reality for you. That all you have to do is stay in your lane, and it's more than a reality for you to go out there and get a strike. The only thing you have to do is stay in your lane and focus on what you have to focus on. But it becomes a dream when you start looking at somebody else's lane. Because obviously, if I'm bowling on lane 4, I can't get a strike on lane 2. So that's a dream. But I can strike on lane 4 because that's my lane. So if I stay in my lane, it ain't a dream. It's the reality that you can get with whatever it is that you want to get. And so I want everybody to focus very, very hard, in training your mind to stay in your lane. And don't let, the opportunities that others, and that mental diet that we talked about earlier, don't let those opportunities that others may see for you, affect you in either way. Like we talked about the 2 ways. It can either be that, you start going in a direction that you shouldn't be going. That means that I left lane 4 and I went over to lane 2. No good. Or, like I said, I in a situation where I'm disappointed with, going forward because I'm doing something that is not what I want to do, or I'm going forward, getting trapped up in situations in which, I didn't reach my potential, or the potential that others thought that I should have, and that's making me feel bad. So be very, very careful of that. Be very, very careful of staying in your own lane, because the reward of you doing your best in your lane, nothing compares to that. So that's my mental conditioning message for Monday. I hope you guys got, something from that. So, stay in the gym, work hard. I had a very good day in the gym today, mental mental conditioning gym. Some days are better than others, and today happened to be a good day. I feel really good, so I hope you guys are feeling good too. And if not, tomorrow's another day. Stay in the gym with me. Keep working hard. I'll see you guys next mental conditioning Monday. Hopefully I get some messages out to you guys during the week. But thanks again for the support. Love you guys.